And we are taking you to another part of Africa this morning. It seems we will be going to Zambia this morning. But before we head on to Zambia, that's another story that is also trending and is making the news this morning. Now, the country has asked Angola to consider supplying refined fuel on a government to government, business to government, and business to business basis in order to have access to refined petroleum and diesel at concessional prices. Government has also successfully lobbied their Angolan counterparts to reopen the opportunity for Zambia to own a stake at the Lobito refinery project, which will have the capacity of 200,000 barrels per day. Johnston Chikwanda, who is an energy expert and chairperson for Energy Forum, says the new Don government had a very good opportunity to conclude and actualize bulk fuel procurement from Angola. Joining us to comment on this situation in Zambia is the energy chairperson himself, Mr. Johnston Chikwanda. Many thanks for joining the program this morning. Now, why do you think the Angolan oil deal is a solution to the country's rising cost of fuel?
Good morning. First and foremost, as you know, Zambia is a land-linked country, also what we'd call land-linked. We bring in all our fuel requirements from overseas, predominantly from Asia. And we bear significant challenges when there is disruptions to the supply chain. And so for a while now, successful governments in Zambia have been looking at different ways of tapping into the resources which are on the African continent in order to strengthen intra-Africa trade. As you know, intra-Africa trade is very, very low. So Zambian government has, tried to, to get facility with the Nigeria and also Angola in the past, but because of infrastructure challenges, it has not been materializing. But now there is so much push and thrust from government that something must be finalized. Angola, the advantage which it has is that it is our next door neighbor, and there is the infrastructure in terms of transport, road network, though not too good, but it is being worked on. There is a rail line which is heading in that direction, and the road, and so it is the proximity which is making Angola to stand out, and also the availability of the fuel. Although we also know that it hasn't got adequate refinery capacity at the moment, but we know that it's a leading producer, and within trade negotiations, there's something that can come out at a better price for us, which when it is transported, it is able to land at a better price in order to try and mitigate the ever-rising impact of high fuel prices on the consumers.
All right. Looking at it from the aspect of a better price. But how viable is the regional integration in Southern Africa, in particularly Angola? Will this strengthen the bilateral relations to the benefit of the two countries, if at all?
Yes, within first of all, the Africa Union context, there is considerable talk to improve regional integration. And also at Southern Africa Development Community, SADC region, there is so much emphasis on entrenching regional integration. So once this kind of trade at this level takes off, we envisage that it will lead to increase the regional integration and also energy security for the country. Really, there is it is laughable that you could be traveling thousands and thousands of kilometers to go and bring fuel into the country when your next door neighbor has got it. So there is these policy shifts, of course, supported by improvements in infrastructure in order to support the trade and regional integration possibilities.
All right, we do understand that Tanzania at some point had a sport in this picture that we're trying to paint and put together. Why does Zambia want to abandon the Tanzania route? Does this mean now that that Zambia has shifted its focus from help from outside? Does it mean that there's a focus and a shift to look for the help or the resources from within?
Well, first of all, Tanzania has got Tanzania and Zambia. They're like Siamese twins from an energy point of view because all our fuel, much of it has been coming through Tanzania, through the port of Dar es Salaam, and we have got a 1,700-kilometer pipeline which runs from the port of Dar es Salaam at the Indian Ocean coming into Zambia. This is a pipeline which was transporting crude oil, bringing it to our inland refinery. But this refinery called Indeni Petroleum is now on care and maintenance because of old age and loss of efficiencies. So government is trying to change the model. And the government's policy is that they could do 10 that pipeline from Tanzania to be transporting refined diesel, to be transporting refined diesel. So that means that corridor will still remain active with regard to supplying or transporting Zambia's fuel. So we're not abandoning the route to the Indian Ocean. Actually, as a matter of fact, the master plan for infrastructure development at SADC level is east to west linkages and south to north linkages. This is the master plan even at the Africa Union level. So we cannot abandon our access to the Indian Ocean, even as much as we want access to the to the Atlantic Ocean.
All right. Let's quickly take a look at the Lobito refinery project, of course, staged by Angola. We do recall that last year, particularly in April, they had called for investments to come through. Now we're also hearing that Zambia is looking to work with Angola concerning the Lobito refinery, which has a capacity of over 200,000 barrels per day. What's the plan in this now that Zambia is talking? Are they looking to invest or do something else?
Well, it's a matter of policy direction. Like I mentioned, the Angolan government has got a lot of oil reserves, but they also do not have adequate refining capacity. So they export, the crude and then re-import partially refined. And they decided as a government to initiate the construction of a mega refinery, which will not just cater for their energy requirements, but also support the SADC region. That is the Angolan plan. However, a refinery at that level to be more viable, it requires off-takers. So from where I sit, I am aware that there has been engagement, not just with Zambia, but also a number of other countries in the SADC region who are willing to either invest in that refinery or sign long-term offtake agreements so as to improve and support their business case. So that is what is going on there. Whether Zambian government has been offered to have a stake in that, we're waiting for formal communication, although at some point, a couple of years ago under the previous administration, we were aware that that offer was on the table, but whether it was taken or not, I'm not very sure. However, we are comforted that there is this engagement to try and support regional integration and intra-Africa trade. And government has made it clear that it's not just talking to Angola, but also other producers as well who can support us, including possibly Nigeria. You know, we have got a number of countries, companies in the oil industry that come from Nigeria, which are also available. And so government is engaging with a number of different options because the consumption is quite huge. And if you set up a huge reserve in Zambia of refined fuel, it could also assist neighboring countries like DRC as well, whose fuel requirements pass through Zambia when going to the eastern part of DRC.
But this sounds like a big plan. It sounds like it's still in the blueprint and early stages. So it's a long-term plan, which we understand. But in the interim, in the short term, to remove the burden that the people of Zambia are going through, what is the short-term plan at the moment as we speak to ensure that there's constant supply of fuel? Is there going to be a subsidy introduction at some point, or are the people of Zambia going to feel the brunt directly in the short term?
It has been very painful, to be honest with you. From December to now, the fuel pump prices have gone up by about 50%. And due to escalating fuel prices on the international market and also partial removal of subsidies. At the moment, there is a total of over 41% of taxes that remain waived, that were supposed to be reintegrated in January this year, but the government extended the cushion by extending the lifting of the waivers to end of June. So end of June, the taxes may be reintegrated, which were waived, and that could push the fuel pump prices high. Cognizant of this is why government now is reaching out to oil-producing countries. What we see in the short term is signing either bilateral government to government or concluding a bilateral arrangement and then facilitating for the private sector to go and pick from that country. That can be done, whether with Angola or with any oil major producing country. This is a simple task in my view, not really simple, but something that is doable, like what has been done in Angola, following up through in terms of discussing what will be the price and how long that price can be locked in, and then engaging the private sector to go and start picking that fuel. Obviously, issues of logistics have to be considered. We know there is a road there, but not directly with Zambia. But all things being equal, the short-term issue that we are dealing with at the moment is picking what is available, discussing with any country that is a major producer of fuel, and the fuel is available, negotiate the price, lock in the price for a period of time, and compel the private sector or government itself to go and uplift that fuel and bring it so that we stabilize the pump price.
All right. Well, you've spoken so well. Thank you so much, Johnston Chikwanda, energy expert all the way from Zambia, who's joined us this morning on Breakfast Central.
Thank you very much. Have a good day ahead of you. It's a pleasure.
It's a pleasure too.